Okay, so let's turn back to the last story in the parsha, which I really do love talking about. Let me. I'm going to make a new point that we didn't make last year, but let me make one point that's worth making for all of my, especially for my Agadata people. Zev, you heard this last year. Whether you remember it or not, don't incriminate yourself. So Miriam, there's something about Moshe's marriage to the Isha Kushit that bothers Miriam, right? And that sets off this whole story. Now, a fascinating point that we mentioned last year is that if you read the pasuk, the problem is that he married. Well, the problem is the marriage of the second woman. Why that's problematic, we don't know. Right? Is it because of who he married, or simply the fact that he married his second wife? Right? Not entirely clear what's going on, but there's something that bothers Miriam about this second wife. How do Chazal read the story? That Isha Kushit is Tzipora, but she's already married to Tzipora, so then what must it be? Why is Miriam? He's separated from her. And what we pointed out last year from Reb Bazak, I think there's a footnote in one of his articles. Very good. Very good. Yes, this was Daf Yomi yesterday? Yesterday. Yeah. I'm never quite on the Daf, because sometimes ahead, sometimes behind, and sort of do it in spurts, but I think it was yesterday, right? Take that. Today I think it's Saturday, but I'm not sure. Oh, good. You're right. Daniel is right. This was yesterday's Daf Yomi, so Od Yoter Tov. But one of the things that Bazak points out, which is I think a really, really important point about how Agadata works, is that if you didn't pay attention, you wouldn't realize how important that Agadic statement was. Because not only is it like adding to the story, it's actually reversing the message of the story 180 degrees. Because in the mind of Pshat, what is if you think about one of the major questions in different religions is how involved in normal life, especially marital life, can someone who is a spiritual leader be? Right? In Catholicism, it's not at all. No, I don't think he was a Catholic. Right? You can't be married, you can't, etc. In Judaism, we don't believe that. In the Pshat reading of this, Miriam is bothered by Moshe's second marriage, and what does Hashem say? No, even the holiest of the holiest of the holiest of people could be married to two wives if he wants. Meaning there's nothing about marital life in any way that detracts from the ability to be the greatest Navi in the world. And Chazal's read is literally the opposite, which is even if your average rabbi is allowed to be married, Moshe, who needs Nevuah at every time, has to separate from his wife. So you end up having two completely different theological statements coming out, whether you think the problem was that Moshe separated from his wife, or Moshe married yet another wife. Okay, that was a point we made last year, which is worth remaking. But what I want to note is a different point here, and that is, who spoke Lashon Hara about Moshe?
Miriam.
And?
Aaron.
And Aaron. Who gets punished?
Miriam.
Miriam. Good. Very simple question. Why? If both of them spoke Lashon Hara, why is it? And God gets angry at both of them.
He did it for a bad reason. He did it for a good reason.
Yeah, except God gets angry at both of them, right? At least minimally angry.
Maybe Miriam was doing the talking, Aaron was doing the listening.
So what we have to do is read the psukim very carefully. Hey, Regensberg, can we?
Let's start over again.
We should just. I keep telling the workers, if they're going to keep coming in and out, they need masks. They're around like all of us. They keep saying, no, we're not here. We are here. Like they're like on the roof. It's getting. Anyways. So let's read the psukim, okay? Let's read it carefully. ותדבר מרים ואהרון במשה על אודות האישה הכושית אשר לקח כי אישה כושית לקח. Okay? ויאמרו הרק אך במשה דיבר אדוני הלא גם בנו דיבר וישמע אדוני. Tell me what just happened in those psukim.
It starts out by Deber Miriam.
Very good.
Both of them said.
Very good. So the first clue you have to realize is that yes, they both talk, but they don't both say the same thing. Miriam is upset about Moshe's about the marriage, right? Now, again, in Chazal's edition, the reason she's upset about marriage is because she said, well, we're allowed to remain married, even though we're Nevi'im, so is Moshe different? But in the end of the day, right, Miriam is the only one who complains about the marriage, right? And then Aaron and Miriam both say, is our Nevuah, right, is Moshe's Nevuah in fact unique? And again, the connection to the story, you have to fill it in, but it's clear that the personal part of his life, that's what Miriam is bothered by. And there may be implications of that on the Nevuah, but it's the more spiritual side of it that Aaron is worried about. He's not worried directly about the fact that Isha Kushit Lakach. And if you follow the psukim, this will bear itself out that this is the difference. Because what happened? So you skip down. Vayomer Adonai Pitom el Moshe ve'el Aaron ve'el Miriam tzu shloshtem el moed vayitzu shlashtam. God comes and wants to talk to Moshe, Aaron, and Miriam. And what does he say? Vayomer Shim'u na dvarai im yeh nevi'achem Adonai b'mareh elav et vada b'chalom ader berbo. What does he say? Shim'u. What's Shim'u? Listen, plural. Meaning, when God is talking about Moshe's Nevuah, who's he talking to? All of them. Lo chen avdi Moshe v'chol beiti ne'emanhu pe'al pe'ad daber bo u'v'omer v'lo b'chidot Adonai yabiru madua lo yireitem l'daber b'avdi Moshe v'yichar af Adonai bam v'yelach, and God is angry at both of them on this level. V'hanan sar me'al v'nei Miriam mitzorat kashaleg, but only Miriam becomes a right, comes a mitzorah. Vayiven Aharon al Miriam v'nei mitzorat. Vayomer Aharon al Moshe. How do we know that Aaron isn't punished? Because not only is he not punished, he's the advocate for Miriam. Right? Vayomer Aharon al Moshe bi Adonai al nata shelo nechad asher na'am asher chatanu. And as many have pointed out, what punishment does she get? Sarat. Why does she get sarat? What's the simplest pshat? What's the simplest pshat? Why did she get sarat? Because the Lashon Hara was about Moshe's wife who had black skin, so her skin turns white. Right? Right? Turns sickly white. Right? There is a midah keneged midah. What exactly her sin was? Is it Lashon Hara? Is it arrogance? We've talked about different things. As we know, Chazal have 7 different sins here, right? That you can get Lashon Hara for, you can get sarat for. Reb Bazak has this short article, but I think he's 100% right. Is that there seem to be 2 different things going on here. That even if there's obviously a relationship between the 2 claims that they're making, Miriam, her Lashon Hara, right, has this added personal element, and that is particularly egregious. Aaron makes a theological mistake. Right? Aaron isn't interested in Moshe's private life, per se. He's interested in whatever religious implications are going on here. He doesn't understand something about the Nevuah, but he doesn't necessarily care about Moshe's life. He just doesn't understand, and he thinks that whether it's that Hashem should have told them, whether that it was the same. So Hashem gets angry at him, but how does Hashem deal with that, with Aaron? He educates him. Because fundamentally, Aaron isn't getting into Moshe's private life. He's questioning something about Moshe's Nevuah, and in some way that it deals with the story in whatever way you want to read that story. So for that, Hashem says, I'm not really going to punish you as much as I'm going to, give you a talking to, explain to you that you shouldn't talk badly about Moshe's Nevuah, because Moshe is in fact unique, and then it's going to be done. But Miriam, in addition to her misunderstanding of his Nevuah, there seems to have been a certain level of Lashon Hara about Moshe's private life. Right? And that seems to have been her interest in a way that it wasn't Aaron's. Right? And therefore she gets punished doubly. And the careful read of the story seems to bear it out. They do both get a talking to on half of the problem. Right? But Miriam's complaint, interest, Lashon Hara, whatever it might be, seems to have had that a little bit more of that personal element. And that's why she gets the tzarat on top of Hashem correcting the theological mistake of their nevuah. And like I said, how is this? exactly all this plays out. It requires you to go to the story and what do you think the story's about, and what do you think the Isha Kushit thing is. I've already outlined the two sort of basic directions you can take. Last year I think we talked about right, the role of Midrash here, right? Because you have all of the sort of Midrashot, Chitzoniot, Midrashim Chitzoniot, like including in Josephus and in this particular case the Rashbam embraces it, that they say, who is the Isha Kushit? Remember this?
Moshe went to war.
Yeah, so when Moshe spent 40 years as the king of Ethiopia, right, and he married the queen, right? Like they build that whole story into it. So there's a lot of different ways of reading the story. What I'm doing is just structurally analyzing that there do seem to be two elements. Whatever content you then fill in into each of these elements, you got to figure out how you understand the story. But I do think that explains why Miriam gets the punishment and Aaron just gets the theological correction. Okay?